Today we want to look at one of the better Arch Linux distributions in the event you are looking to run Arch without a lot of the maybe headaches that might come with running a pure Arch system. We are going to have a look at Garuda Linux and specifically the Cinnamon desktop option. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we do want to dive into another Linux distribution. We're going to have a look at what this system has to offer and give you some thoughts that I have about this distribution. And we are going to be talking about Garuda Linux. This one has come up just a few years ago, and it's been making a whole lot of positive direction. There's a whole lot of people happily behind it, and this is certainly one of the fastest growing Linux distributions that we find. This is a system that is based on Arch, has a lot of unique tools, and some unique theming that you'll probably either love or hate. So we'll go ahead and chat about this today. If you like this type of content, please subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Leave us a like and a comment down below. And with that, we are going to dive on over and just have a brief look at the overarching system, and then we're going to dive into the distribution. Now, the installation of this was very similar to any other Linux distribution. It uses the Calamares installer, and it did work pretty flawlessly. When you install the system, the default is going to be a Linux Zen kernel, and it has Btrfs as the file system, and we will go ahead and look at those options and things about those. But this particular Linux distribution, which you can find at garudalinux.org, they have a distribution that has a number of desktop environments, including Cosmic, which is still in alpha, by the way, but you can actually play around with that there. And one of the things I'm noticing, occasionally the way their website is built, it doesn't work super well. That's just the first point I note. You notice I try to open this page up in a different tab, and it didn't actually get me there. They're doing a lot of weird things on the background of their website. Don't like that. But anyway, let's single click through stuff, I guess. And looking at their desktop options, we have Mocha, we have the Dragon Eyes. These ones are a lot more colorful and a lot heavier on resources. They're doing a lot more things with your, effects, desktop effects. Here's a gaming edition. This one's a very large size, but has everything you need pre-built on top of it with the gaming system. We have a GNOME edition, we have a Cinnamon edition, XFCE, there's Sway, i3, Hyperland, KDE Lite, and a NIC subsystem, and of course Cosmic. Hey, this was not on the desktop or on the website when I looked at it the other day, so that's actually good that we're getting back to that. Now, as far as the system itself, it does have a lot of tools available to it. They say here it's easy to use. It is beautifully designed. One of the things about Arch is just a raw Arch system just has no aesthetic design whatsoever. You install Arch, you install a desktop environment, and it's really up to you how to fine tune it. Now, that is a great option, and many people really like that, but there's also a lot of people, particularly new users, who don't want to get into the minutia of figuring out how to make the colors look nice and the icons look nice. That's where something like Garuda comes out. It has this beautiful aesthetic to it that you will either love it or you will hate it. It's pretty much the way. I personally like it. It's a very nice, beautiful design. It is, of course, FOSS. They have the Chaotic AUR repository providing a lot of extra packages. I think they're involved in the development of this. I was not able to find a ton of information. There's a separate page about it, but I wasn't able to find a lot of who was about it. They do have Btrfs, which has snapshots built in as well, and they do have, this is what's really the standout tool, a lot of GUI tools in order to help you along. And then down here, this is your Ronnie. This is the Queen of System Assistants. It has a lot of different tools. I'm going to hope this works. When I first booted the system up, it was causing me some problems, but I did need to run some system updates. So we'll go ahead and boot this up and see if this works. But you can access all of these tools independently on the menu, so it's not like you have to have this system working. They do have their own custom web browser. This is FireDragon. It is based on the Florp web browser, which is, they brand themselves as the Vivaldi of Firefox. It is a Firefox fork, and it is, so they have customized Florp to be FireDragon. Florp is customized from Firefox, and for the people following the Mozilla situation, no, this is not in any way involved with all of the data collection. They have turned off a lot of those functions, and you cannot even turn some of those on easily, even if you wanted to. And then, of course, they have their system maintenance. So there is what we want to say about it. Let's go ahead and dive on into the system to see what this guy looks like. So we're booting into it, and you have your Linux there. Here's your advanced options. There's Linux snapshots. Those are taken from your ButterFS tools. And then when you get on over here, it's going to boot us into our login manager, which is using a customized light DM. And here we are on the sign-in screen. You can see that we can do the experimental Wayland. Of course, the default is X, as that is the default right now inside of Cinnamon. We'll enter our super secret password. That's definitely not 123, and we'll get logged into the desktop. You can see out of the box, we have a very, very bright aesthetic. This is where I say you'll either really like it or really hate it. The icon cursor there is kind of like is that a rocket ship, I guess? Fly me to the moon. We have this really nice eagle wallpaper here. I do like this. You can see that they do colors just everywhere inside the system. Here's your, probably pretty sure this is NeoFetch, might be the new one, whatever. But we have that. We have, that's just show our desktop there. So you can see the colors inside of all of our icons. So my concern is what happens when you install some odd application that doesn't have its own nice dragonized looking like theme. You'll probably have some ugly icons in there once you start installing extra software, but hey, at least out of the box, this thing looks absolutely beautiful. It does run a dark theme, and what I don't like about it is they do have the buttons on the right side, on the left side of the windows, not the right side, for minimizing, maximizing, and closing. So they're following the Apple ideas there. I have no earthly idea why, but hey, that is their default. So there is the look. I personally like it. I think it's maybe slightly too dark, but overall I really do like the theme of the system. So the next thing we want to have a look at is the various system tools. And so one of the ones I want to see is I want to see if this boots, because this is the application I wasn't booting last time. Okay, we're getting the same problem. This is a problem that I'm getting. That rainy application, it is not working. It's giving me just this white screen. I don't know why. Is this because we are in a virtual box? Is there something else going wrong? But even so, I can't even close it or get rid of it. I even tried to kill the thing, and it says, can't find the application. So it's going to sit there as a white screen forever. This, like I said, could be an artifact to doing this in VirtualBox. I don't know. But Garuda team, if you want details of my system, see if we can reproduce it. Hey, that's the problem I'm having. Like I said, though, a lot of the tools that are in there, in fact, I think all of them are available under your admin tools. And the first one I actually want to go to is going to be our Setup Assistant tool. So your Setup Assistant tool, this guy here, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to run a system update. And I just updated it about an hour ago, but it's Arch, so it's probably about 37 updates. Let's see what we get. But once you run the update, then you actually will have a setup manager over here where you can choose if you want to access scanners, printers, file servers, and things like that. So let's just go ahead and wait for this to do its update. Oh, looks like there were only 4 updates since the last time I updated this a little bit ago. So we'll go ahead and run those. That'll be really quick. You can see how fast this thing works. This thing is slick. So go ahead and do that. And then it's going to update everything. Press enter to exit. And now the Setup Assistant will jump over to the second screen over here. So do you want printer, scanner, and Samba support? So do you want this to be able to use for printers, scanners, or network shares? Do you want to install additional wallpapers? I didn't see what extra wallpapers they have. Let's do this. Looks like we have kind of the basic wallpapers there, and then these are the wallpapers we have. So there are a number of really nice looking wallpapers in here, although curiously the one that it defaults to is not in this folder list. So oh no, it is. Okay, it is down there. So if you want, you can switch to these other ones or not. A lot of cool things there. Let's look at that. We'll stick with the Eagle one. I do kind of like that. So I don't really need extra wallpapers. I'm happy with what we get. But I really like the fact that they say, hey, there's extra ones that we can install. And do you need a pen testing software, Black Arch repos and settings and things like that? So if you want to use this for pen testing, you can do that. But I do appreciate that they don't cram it all full of the system out of the box there. As far as your inputs, we have a variety of different font options to use from. And then there are no software centers installed on this by default. But this does is this gives you the system to say, hey, what would you like to install, if anything? So we have GNOME firmware. We have the app image launcher. We have Octopi. We have, I've never seen that before. Brah. I don't know, whatever that is. All right, we have Discover, we have GNOME Software Center, and we have Apper. So you have a number of different software centers if you want to use one. I personally have found when I'm using Arch, I just use Pac-Man. So I just do that. Linux kernels, the default is going to be your Zen. I believe that's your Zen anyway. Let me boot the terminal back up. That should tell me what our kernel is. Yeah. So you can see our kernel is 6.13 Zen. So that's our kernel. If you want to use an LTS, hardened, board, there's just pick your kernel that you like. You can install those. And there is actually a separate kernel tool in here as well. Well, I found it in there somewhere. We'll find it. I'll find it. I'm going to dig through all the other settings. So you can choose those. And then this is your most common Office suites, web browsers, email clients, communication tools, internet options. There's audio players and video, graphics, multimedia, development, visualization, and others. So there's a number of different functions and features that we can install from right out of the box here. So there is what the assistant looks like. Hit OK, and then you are done with the assistant. Okay, you got to hit OK again to close it out. So that is your basic assistant. And then the next thing, if we go on down to our administration again, we do have the ButterFS Assistant. This is not unique to Garuda, but this allows you to configure ButterFS snapshots and things like that. So you can see the number of things that is snapshotted. You can set how many it keeps and things like that. It's in there somewhere. There you go. You can set how many snapshots it keeps. So you have extra tools for that. And then the other options we have. Now, some of these are going to be on that rainy if it works. The boot options. This is actually a nice tool here because you can choose what is the default, what's it going to boot to. And then you can do your menu timeouts. You can enable saving last boot, kernel parameters, and then you can set a number of other parameters, including setting your custom themes, custom images. So you can do all that kind of stuff in the kernel boot option or the grub boot options there. So that is a nice tool as well. And the network assistant will allow you to do other network administration, including a tool they have that will allow you to use your network connection and broadcast a hotspot. So that's actually pretty cool. Here's your basic maintenance stuff. Do you want to be notified about maintenance announcements, posts from the forums, upgrades, out-of-date things? So just some basic notifications mostly in there. And then there's some tools inside of that for some automatic updates. Let's see, there's a reboot, snapper tools, and there was one more I was looking for specifically, if I can find out where it was. Okay, so the next one is down into your preferences, and this is the Garuda Settings Manager. And this one here has a number of settings. Now, mind you that this is Cinnamon, and we have a system settings panel inside of Cinnamon, but there's actually some things in here that you won't find inside of your settings in Cinnamon. So your hardware configuration here, for example, This one will look at your open source drivers and allow you to install other drivers there. You can see we have the open source drivers for VirtualBox set up there. This is where you can adjust your kernels. So you see here that you cannot add an extra kernel for this. So you want to go through the setup assistant to add extra kernels, but you could remove old kernels from inside of there as well. Same with your language packs. You can install language packs from here though. So you can adjust your language packs. User accounts. This is a different tool than you have inside of your user accounts inside of Cinnamon, you'll notice. At least they should behave similar. They'll just be a little bit different. Apparently I opened that multiple times, but here you can just add extra users and things like that. And you can look at your settings from there. We have keyboard, time and date, and locality settings as well. So there are some of the extra setting options that we have inside of there. So there is your system tools. Sadly, I wish this would do something. Like I said, maybe VirtualBox, maybe something else. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there has some ideas about what's going on. In fact, that was causing such a problem. I had to turn that off in the startup applications. Because it was always giving me the white box. You'll see that I turned this off. It was turned on there. But these are all of the options that are turned on inside of your basic setup there. Oh, look at this. Redshift is turned on. I don't like Redshift. Turn that guy off. Here's screenshot software. There's Conky, ButterFS Snapper Checker, and Auto Randar automatically sets the display based on the size. Okay, so that's cool. So that all worked. And actually, that didn't work super well because I did have to set my display manually when I first booted into the system. All right, but there is your system tools inside of this. The next thing I do want to talk about, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about their built-in web browser. Obviously, the web browser issue is something that is a big issue these days. Some people are calling for many Linux distributions to stop shipping Firefox altogether. This one ships with its own browser. It is a fork of Firefox. So this is based on the Florp web browser, and there's actually a let's see, there's Florp website there. This is actually based on the Florp browser. So the Florp browser is a fork of Firefox. It does remove all of that privacy collecting items. In fact, if we go into our settings here, you'll find under your privacy and security, when we go down and we look, for example, the web advertising. This is the PPA that was controversial. I can't even turn it on. No, I can't even turn on data collection. No, how is Mozilla ever going to function without having proper data collected about us all, folks? But that's, they do turn off a lot of those features and functions. The default search engine is actually SearX, which is a nice option. And they do have a lot of configurations in here. You'll notice with the sidebar, it is indeed as they brand themselves, the Vivaldi of Firefox. So that is, you can read more about the Florp browser. It's based out of Japan. Now, the one thing I don't like about this browser, something that they might want to consider here, is I'm sorry, I'm so used to doing about config. I want to do about add-ons. There we are. So they give us this dark reader extension by default. The problem is this dark reader extension, apparently these days, I'm not sure if it always was, but apparently it was freemium stuff. So when I first booted up the browser after installing this, literally it launches this page. So I boot this up for the very first time, and the first thing that happens is the web page lands me on a freemium upsell to pay $9.99 to keep using Dark Reader, which is one of the add-ons that they have added by default. So I get that they're trying to make every single web page dark themed, but I really don't think that they should be pre-installing an add-on that takes us to takes us to a freemium upgrade payment thing, asking us for money. It seems a little tacky, and it makes me wonder if I can't imagine Garuda installing this and going, wow, this is great that the web browser is going to launch and ask for a third party for money. I'm wondering if this wasn't a recent adjustment to this add-on that made this happen. I don't know. Like I said, I've never seen that particular add-on before, but as for me, me and my house, we will be disabling Dark Reader. Rule 1, thou shalt not pop up a separate icon on my desktop. That's just not happening. So there's that. Now you see that we do have uBlock Origin by default installed, which is good. And we do have this flag Fox displaying the location of the current server, which I don't see that actually up there, but that's okay. That is installed by default. That's fine. That might be useful information for some people, but that is certainly something that I didn't care for, having that Dark Reader on there. I think you guys should reevaluate that. And maybe, like I said, that was a change in the add-on recently that made that occur. Not totally sure. You can let me know though. But there is a little bit I wanted to talk about with the web browser there. So as far as everything else, this does feel like a very full desktop environment. Here's firmware updates. We have coding stuff. We have a variety of different system tools, USB image writers, formatters. We have Warpinator. As far as internet, here's our web browser. We have web apps, a couple of different browsers there under programming. We have media options. So it does feel like a full desktop environment. Some people might consider that a little bit too bloated. Some people might really like that. And it's kind of the same thing here with the system itself. It might be too colorful and or too dark for some people. I think that's a matter of personal preference. But overall, when we're looking at Garuda Linux, what I liked about it is you did get what would effectively be pretty close to a pure Arch, in that it's not like Manjaro, they're not holding back packages. It's giving you Arch with some extra system tools to easily maintain some things in the GUI. Now, some people don't like that. Some people do. It's like if I really want to spend a whole day building the perfect Arch system, this isn't probably the distribution for you. But if you're like, I hear good things about Arch, I want to get started in a frictionless way, this is an excellent way to do that. You get a good Arch system easily installed on a number of different desktop environments, and you have some very easy one-click buttons in order to get some things done. It is a full system with flexible options, and really it is a nice option if you want some extra tools or the choice of software installers or things like that on your system. Now, by default, there's no software installer installed on this. You have to run through that Setup Assistant and install one, or rely on the terminal for packages. Some people may or may not like that. As far as where this is, I would recommend this distribution if you're looking to run Arch. I really like what they're doing. I love the excitement behind the development team of it. These guys are going good places. That's awesome. Now, I would not recommend it probably for a very, very first Linux distribution if you're just trying to get your feet wet in Linux, because it doesn't have software installers. You have to run that separate system setup on first run, and there's not a welcome screen that alerts you to that, except maybe that Ranny, which isn't working for me. Who knows? That might be the welcome screen. It's just broken on my system. I don't know. Maybe I need to try and install this on real hardware, or maybe try running it in GNOME boxes to see if that application actually works over there. I don't know. I'll think about those options. But with that being said, I would highly recommend you have a look at Garuda Linux if you're looking at Arch, particularly if you like the stylistic colors that this system has. It does carry with it a very nice theming option that is oftentimes absent in the world of Arch. With that, though, thank you for watching. Leave us your thoughts and comments about Garuda Linux. Comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.